Steve, head coach Chris Collins.
Yeah, I mean, these games, as you know, Matt, you've been around it, these games when you come off layoffs, the two that you really kind of as a coach worry about are right after final exams and then right after the Christmas holiday, because it's probably the most disruption that you get throughout the year in terms of guys really, especially being at a school like Northwestern. I mean, guys doing papers, projects, tests. You got to finish the quarter well. Fortunately, we were able to get some good practice sessions this week. Thought we got a lot accomplished, but you still have game rust when you don't play for 9 days. And then again, coming off Purdue, where it was such an emotional, high, energy type of game. Now you come on a Sunday afternoon, and you're testing your guys' maturity. And I thought overall we did a really good job. What continues to impress me with our guys is we're just playing the right way. 29 assists on 34 made field goals. And when you do that, you get high percentage shots. So then you're going to shoot a very good percentage. And, had we not had a couple turnovers late in the game, especially I think at the end they give us one there when we hold the ball out, we would have been at 4 or 5 turnovers, right, on the night, 29 assists. That's just great ball security and great unselfishness. And you just see the assist totals. Everybody who played pretty much had an assist, which shows, the way our guys are playing connected. And to be able to play, not relying on Boo to get 25, 30 in a game. They made a conscious effort to get the ball out of his hands and all the pick and rolls, they were trapping him. And we knew that. And he came into the game and he was really mature. He said, I'm going to give the ball up, which creates a 4-on-3 advantage. And it allowed other guys like Ty, Ryan, Brooks, Nick Martinelli, the big guys, to get open, and we were able to make them pay for that.
Talking about, you said you were kind of worried about that layoff. When you have those 9 days for you and your staff, how much of that is kind of, maybe not time off, but how much of that is rest? How much are you preparing for this game? How much are you preparing for future games?
Yeah, it's a great call. But great question, by you. I would say, we played the Purdue game on Friday. We gave our guys 2 days off. We gave them the weekend to kind of get their legs and kind of take care of academic stuff. We came back on Monday, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it was all about what you're talking about. It was about us, and it was about improvements that we feel we need to make to become a better team. Forget about game planning. And then when we got to the end of the week, we gave them Thursday off. And when we got to the end of the week, we really dove into these guys on Friday and Saturday, to get ready to game prep for this game. So it was nice to have 3 days of practice, to your point, to not have to talk about another. It was more about concepts, principles, areas of growth for us that we feel we need to do in order to keep improving, because you got to keep getting better. Other teams are going to keep getting better, and we have to improve as the season goes along.
Nick Martinelli, I believe, is one of 3 players with a career high tonight. How much of that do you attribute to the headband?
I told him he's got to stay with it. He's got the Jackie Moon look going, and I thought he was fantastic today. And I was saying on the radio earlier, when you come off of a foot injury and you don't play, for 4 to 6 weeks, and you don't feel right with your feet or your legs, it takes time, to get back fully healthy. And I feel this first month of the season has been a key stretch for Nick to kind of get his conditioning, to get his timing. He's such a unique player. He's different than the other guys we have, right? He's a cutter. He can post a little bit. He's got all those little floaters in the lane. He's a lefty. And now he's able to make that open three, so to come in tonight, I came into the year feeling like he was going to be a 6 starter for us. And much in a similar way Brooks was last year. That was kind of Brooks's role. To me, now Brooks has ascended into the starting lineup, and now Nick is kind of that super 6 man for us, and we're going to need him. We're going to need his production and his play, and he was fantastic today.
And then another career high was Luke Hunger with 9. I believe he came off the bench as your second big.
Yeah.
Was that something more of just like feel or flow of the game, or did you know coming in he would be in first over Blake?
No, it was a feel and a flow. I have confidence in all 3 of those guys. We're going to need all 3 of them. Case in point, Purdue, right? 2 fouled out and the other one had 4, and Blake Preston actually got the steal, to win the game against Purdue. So I just felt like with the way Detroit was playing, they were playing very small. They were spreading the floor. I thought Luke's mobility, against these guys and his ability to get into the gaps and be a passer and a finisher, That was just a gut feel on my part, but I have full confidence in all three of our bigs that they can come. I think Matt in the last game, because of fouls, might have played the least amount in the Purdue game. So we need all three of those guys. All three of them played, but it's good to see Luke's confidence grow. You can see with each game he's feeling really good, really confident, and he can score the ball. He can make a shot. He's skilled around the basket. He's got a good feel. He can pass. So it's just good to see him get out there and get double-figure minutes.
Detroit had 11 offensive rebounds. You guys won the battle overall. That seems like kind of something that's kind of ebbed and flowed game to game, how that's gone for you guys on the glass.
Yeah.
With those 4-guard lineups for you guys, how do you assess your rebounding 8 games into the season?
Yeah, I think it's got to improve. There's no question. That's a point of emphasis. We're doing a lot of drills, in terms of like collective rebounding, right? We can't just rely on one guy or two guys. We need everybody in there. We've played, and the good part about it is we've got exposed a little bit by playing some very physical teams. Mississippi State, incredibly physical. Obviously, Purdue is as good on the offensive glass as anybody in the country. So when you play those teams, you get exposed a little bit, and that's definitely an area of need for us moving forward to continue to improve is shoring up the defensive backboards.
And then Ryan had a little bit of a colder start to the season from 3, I believe 5 for 27. I mean, last 2 games he's been incredible, especially tonight. Do you see that as a difference in like quality of looks or scheme, or has that just been kind of trusting him to shoot his way out of that?
I think a little bit of all those things. You're the king of like the multi-part question, which I appreciate. So it really keeps me on my toes, Matt. But I think sometimes, and this is no knock, but you're playing at a level maybe with a little bit longer athlete, a little bit quicker athlete. Sometimes you have a tendency to maybe rush. I thought early in the year he was rushing his shots. I think his pace is much better. He's getting his feet square, his shoulders square to the basket. And I know what kind of shooter he is. So even though he was missing some shots early, I felt like as long as he shot them right and took good ones within the flow, that I'm a law of averages guy, so I knew at some point he was going to get back to his water level, and fortunately for us, these last couple games he's really shot it well. In addition to Ty, I mean, for those two guys to go 8 for 13 from 3, that's having really two high-powered weapons on the wings there, which really opens up our offense.
How does it feel to see the faith and Ty, continue to be rewarded after also cold start to the year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm as big a Ty Berry fan as there is. His energy, he's gotten better each year. He's a hard worker. He's got a great spirit to him. He's not getting as sped up this year. I think his decision making has been very good. In the past, when he was younger, he would get sped up into some bad shots and turnovers. I think he's playing at a little better tempo. He's very efficient. And, with losing Chase, he's really been a key guy to step up defensively for us. He's guarding key guys and doing a really good job and taking pride in that end of the floor.
And when you have an elite shooter like Ryan kind of start to heat up there in the first half, how much of that is you trusting him to continue to find shots in the flow, and how much do you start to maybe design plays for him or seek to get him more open looks?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both. We have a package. I mean, we run a lot of stuff. We have a lot of quick hitters, as you know, following us. So he has a package of things that we like to run when we know we need to get him a shot. Tonight's game was or this afternoon's game was a little bit different, Matt, because they were trapping Boo and everything. And basically it was creating 4-on-3, so Boo was really good. I thought our spacing was good. Boo was getting rid of the ball. And now it's on those guys to make quick decisions. And it just so happened that, he was the beneficiary of a lot of those where guys were just 4-on-3 advantage, driving, kicking, finding the right guy, and he was left open. So we definitely have our thing, and you don't want to show everything, right? In every game, you want to keep some things up your sleeve for future games. But there's no question when he has it going, there's a package of stuff that we like to run for him to get the ball and to get shots.
Then another game with some struggles at the free throw line.
Yeah.
Do you expect to see some positive regression there of, again, finding a water level, or do you feel like that's kind of the cost of doing business?
I do.
Right,
I think Brooks, Boo uncharacteristically walked up, missed 2 in the first half. We know what kind of free throw shooter he is. I think he missed, he was 1 for 3. Brooks had that when he walked up and I think missed 2 after he got fouled. So and I have great confidence in Brooks. So I still think that's a strength. Especially our perimeter guys. Boo, Ty, Ryan, Brooks. Those 4 guys. Our big guys have to keep working on it. Matt, Blake Preston, and Luke, all 3 of those guys got to be guys where, especially late in games, you want to have somebody out there where if teams are fouling, you can go up there and make free throws. So we'll keep working on it. Definitely got to be better in that area, 65%. I'd like to see it close to 80%, and that's what we shoot for as a team.
You have back-to-back wins with 90 points. Boo scores 30 and 1. Tonight, as you said, they were kind of trapping, so he's more facilitator with just 5. Mm-hmm. What is a testament to your team's offense that you're scoring at that high level in 2 very different ways in 2 games?
Yeah, I think what it does is maybe it'll make teams think twice about those kind of strategies, right? They wanted to get the ball out of his hands, and that's definitely a strategy. But when you do that, you're then going to be susceptible to 4-on-3 with a team that really shares the ball well and handles passes and shoots it. So you got to kind of pick your poison. And Boo's great about that. There's some nights where, he knows, like Purdue, like we had some matchups. We got him in some mismatches. We want him to attack and be a high-level scorer. He kind of knew because of film, they've done that with other games. He kind of knew coming in he needed to be a heavy distributor. He gets 8 assists, 1 turnover. And we were able to get 90 with him only having 2 baskets, which was great, and makes people kind of hopefully see that it's not, Boo is our best player. There's no question about that, but we have other guys that can step up and score when needed.
Speaking about that, you got Gus Hurlburt in there at the end.
Awesome.
He scored his first bucket for the Wildcats. What did that mean to?
Oh, it's awesome. People don't understand the what these guys do, what Gus Hurlbut, what Blake Smith, what those guys do, for us every day. They play on the scout team. They lift weights. They're at every practice. They're busting their butts every day. And so when you get an opportunity to get them a couple minutes and to get in there and then get him the ball and go to a little post move and see his teammates' reaction, really happy for him. Testament to what he puts in with the guys every day behind the scenes, what the public doesn't see.
And then, again, also an opportunity to really, again, test your bench's depth there at the end. What would you see from some of those guys?
Yeah.
Again, like Justin Mullins.
Yeah, I want to continue. Jordan and Justin, I have high hopes for both those guys. Young perimeter guys that I think are both going to be very good players. They're kind of figuring it out at this level. Jordan as a freshman, Justin, coming in from a lower level. And, to get some playing time, to get out there, the practices right now need to be their games as they're earning equity with their teammates and the coaches. And they got to stay ready. You just never know when you're going to need all these guys. It's a long year, and we need all those guys ready to help us. And it was good that I was able to get those guys some minutes tonight so they could play and get their feet wet with some live action.
You're off to a 7-1 start. Received votes in the poll last week. Are you paying any attention to where this team may or may not be ranked after tonight's?
You know what? I really am not concerned about it. I hear about it at home. My daughter's probably the biggest one who's mad that we didn't get ranked last week. She's the one who's been yelling and screaming that we need to be in the top 25. But there's so much ball to be played, Matt. You know that. Would it be nice for the program to be able to notch and say you've been in the top? Of course. Those are all nice rewards for a team that's playing hard, working hard, but we're not worried about that. Our whole focus right now is winning basketball games and taking them. We know we're in a really stretch right now that's really critical to our season. We have 3 more games before we break for Christmas. Our guys are done with academic work, so we have these 2 weeks that we really want to play well before we break for the Christmas holiday, and these are important non-conference games before we start back up with the Big Ten.
This is you talked about, like, these are sometimes trap games, after a really emotional win over Purdue.
Sure.
Coming into this one after so long off, how do you keep your team focused in each one of these games in that really crucial stretch?
Yeah, well, as a coach, you've been around everything, right? I've done it now for 25 plus years. you've seen it all. You've seen teams that have done a good job with this, and you've seen and been really ready to play and come out. And I've also been a part of teams, whether here or being at Duke, where you don't handle it as well, and then you're in a dogfight or you end up slipping up, in a game like this. So our staff, we tried to lead the way, with our experience. Obviously, our coaches have all been a part of this for a long time. And as a coach, you want to be extra alert this week because the guys have had a really emotional week academically, where they've had to lock in to papers, projects, and you can get a little bit brain dead in terms of basketball because you're studying so much. And then the emotion of coming off a game like playing Purdue, a league game. Now all of a sudden it's a Sunday afternoon. Our students aren't here. They're home for the break. It's not nearly the crowd maybe that although I appreciate the people that were there today. I thought they did a great job and gave us great energy. All the kids being there was great. But you got to be mature, right? And every game counts the same. At the end of the year, you're going to be judged by what you do on your full body of work, and that's why a mature team, you got to get ready to play these games. I mean, this Detroit Mercy team took Ole Miss to the last shot. I mean, they had a shot in the air at the buzzer that would have won the game. They lost by 1. So, I mean, they were very capable. You saw they had some talented players, and if you're not ready to play, a team like that can come in here and out-scrap you and beat you, and fortunately our guys were mature about it and handled their business today. Thanks, Matt. See you Wednesday, bud.
See you Wednesday.
First time appearance by Nick Martinelli. We got a Matt.
Hey Nick, see you've lost the headband. How much credit do you give the headband for your career high tonight, or today? Excuse me.
Hopefully 0, but maybe I might keep it another game, and if I play well again, then I might just keep it on until I have a bad game or we lose. So.
Was there any specific reason it made its debut today, or?
Well, I got stitches. I got elbowed in the face, got stitches, yeah. So.
How was that at practice, or how did that happen?
Yeah, it was at practice. I got elbowed. But I wasn't mad. It's pretty drippy, so I wasn't too mad about it.
And then, Ryan, you had a little bit of a colder start to the season, but you've really found your form the last 2 games. Is that something you attribute to, a difference in quality of looks, finding your rhythm? Has something changed, or is it just kind of, as Coach said, water reaching its level?
Yeah, it's funny because me and Coach BMAC were joking about it today. We were working before the Purdue game, getting some extra shots up in the afternoon, and we kind of figured it out. Kind of like when you shoot a lot, you kind of know when you're off or what's off, but we just had to get in the gym, figure it out, and kind of snapped it back into place. So.
And then this was a game where the defense really keyed in on Boo, and again, Coach and I were talking, gave you guys a lot of 4-on-3 looks. How does that change your outlook offensively, and how are you able to capitalize on those?
I mean, Boo did a tremendous job, not turning over in any of those traps that he was getting into. I mean, we owe all the credit to how he was able to facilitate the ball, and then the coaching staff had a great scout for us. We messed up a couple of things on defense that we need to figure out, but we had a great scout for them, and then we hit shots, and that's what counts.
And then you guys have 9 days or 8 or 9 days between games. It's also finals week in that time. How do you guys spend that time to prepare and make sure that it's a rest not rust situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think after Purdue, we were pretty keyed in on not focusing on the past, but looking to the present and looking to, be prepared for this game. We were completely locked in on this game after the night of Purdue. So I think that's one thing that the coaches have done well. They made sure that we're completely locked in on what's ahead of us. And I think that's the reason that we came out tonight and did what we did.
Again, it was a career high for you. At what point in the game did you realize that things were clicking, things were flowing, and it was going to be that kind of game?
Yeah, I think after I hit a 3, usually when I make a 3, I'm pretty hot because I usually don't shoot them much. So I think once I hit one, I was like, yeah, I got a hot hand. So.
And speaking of a hot hand, Ryan, you had 4 threes in the first half. What's the communication like with your teammates and your coaches when you're in a rhythm like that? Is it a situation where you're telling them like, hey, I'm really in a flow, make sure we're getting me the ball? Or again, what's the dialogue like there?
No, honestly, it's just kind of trusting in the offense and taking the opportunities that came to me. But, I mean, everyone was hitting shots tonight. This guy had a big career high. So, I mean, it's just in that first half, I was lucky to have some open looks and fortunate to make them. But we were all hitting shots and passing it really well. We had like 29 assists or whatever it was. So.
Is that a conscious choice of like really a point of emphasis from the coaches, or was that something that you really just felt like was coming to you guys in the game, was moving the ball around at that level?
I think that like obviously we brought in a bunch of kids this year, like 6 or 7 kids, and one of our main focuses was being completely connected, and that's exactly how I feel. There's no Nick Martinelli 22 points or Ryan Langborg 20 or whatever without, complete connectivity. And I think that that's the one thing that separates this team from other teams that we have played against, is that we are constantly connected. If something goes wrong, it's not on one single player, it's on the entire team.
And then with the 4 guard lineups, or though sometimes you're playing the 4 and you're more forward, obviously, how much of an emphasis is there on rebounding, and how do you feel through 8 games you would evaluate how the team has performed on that front?
Yeah, rebounding wise, it's like a lot of times, especially when you play some of these bigger guys, the 5-man has to really just get that big man off the glass, and it's our job as guards to go kind of clean everything up. And a lot of guards will also go in, so everyone has to find their man, team rebound. You can't leak out, and I think we have a good mindset on the defensive side. I think a couple games got away from us, but I think we have a good mindset going forward, and we'll clean that up.
And then Ryan coming in as a transfer, and Nick, with Coach kind of said he kind of sees you as like a super 6-man, 6-starter type player. With these increased minutes and with Northwestern's defensive identity, how do you think from both a stamina and scheme perspective you guys have adapted to that workload?
Yeah, I mean, great question. It's just been, I think, for us, it comes down to practice. We're competing in practice like crazy hard like we do in the games. I mean, nothing's different, to be honest. And everything has to be perfection in practice, so that it's as close to perfection as you can get it in the games. And like Nick said before, it's just trusting in each other and knowing that whenever someone has a back door or makes a mistake, your brother has your back.
And then, this is my last question. How do you avoid basically trap games in this type of situation? Again, coming off a really emotional win versus Purdue, a lot of time off. How are you guys able to stay locked in and make sure that this isn't a game that kind of slipped under the radar or slipped by you guys?
Yeah, obviously, as I mentioned before, just valuing every single practice, knowing that I think for me especially, and I know this goes for my teammates as well, but the coaches have kind of put in our brains that you don't come here every day for the benefit of yourself. You come here for the benefit of your team. I want to be locked in every day so that the team gets better. And we have guys in the locker room, and every single one I think has the same goal. And that's how you avoid, having games where maybe you're a little bit off. And sometimes you will, maybe, shooting, but being together and constantly having trust in each other is something that we pride ourselves on.
All right. Wrap us up. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.